What is going on, guys? PoliticsGaming here, and today we're returning back to the United States of America. I know you guys have missed this show, and I know you guys have been really anticipating the next one to this, and so I am going to be continuing the United States. We are now a year away from the 2020 elections. It seems that I am possibly waiting for the 2020 elections to happen as it gets closer. We are in currently March, almost March 20th of the year 2020, so we are still a couple of months away from the actual US federal election. But in any case, we're going to go ahead and start looking back on what our current situation is. We just dealt with a forest fire that costed us $8.5 billion. So let's go over here to farming. Let's see what's going on here. In 2018, we did have a negative $2.5 trillion deficit that we had to deal with. We are now decreasing that to a current $2.47 trillion. Sales over here, we are doing $1 trillion in sales compared to $982 billion in the previous year. Profits have gone up by about looks like $9 billion, but more or less than $9 billion. Productivity index has gone down. Taxes have gone down actually in the agricultural sector. Employment, we are looking at a 1.34% employment rate over here in that, and that accounts for about 2 million people. Let's go over here to the secondary sector, and we are doing negative $6.6 trillion. That is $300 billion more than in the previous year. We're doing $6.9 trillion in sales, which is up from the previous year. Profits are now up $200 billion, which is very nice, honestly. We can actually look to see what kind of sectors we can nationalize. Productivity index has actually gone up for the secondary sector. Income tax is up by about 2%. Employment for this sector is actually up by about 1.1% percentage points, which accounts for 36.35 million people. And in the previous year, we employed 34.67 million people. Let's go over here. Let's check some of these sectors right here. We're doing really good with the aeronautical construction industry. And so if we can actually do this, this will cost us $49 billion to federalize this. But if we get a minority shareholder in there, that is actually going to benefit the economy a lot. We actually do have the deficit to actually deal with that kind of a buy-off. And in the tertiary sector, we are looking at a trade balance that is actually shrinking. We are actually doing $4.5 trillion compared to previous year's $5.1 trillion. Sales in the tertiary sector are up by about $400 billion, which was $14 trillion in the current year, and then in the previous year was $13.6 trillion. Profits are down actually in this year. We're doing $1.05 trillion in profits, while in the previous year we were up by nearly $100 billion. Productivity index has actually gone down. We were doing 0.285 in the previous year, and then in the current year we are actually doing 0.263 percentage points. I don't even know if that's a percentage point actually. Income tax, we are doing a little less than last year. Unfortunately, that is also because the sales have actually, or the profits have actually gone down, so productivity index is actually going down, as well as the income taxes. And employment for that sector is 67.9% of the current population, and the last year was actually 70%. So it's actually gone down by nearly 3 percentage points over the last year. Manpower, we are pulling 105 million people in the tertiary sector, while last year we were pulling 110 on their payrolls. So in the tertiary sector, let's go ahead. We have the postal office. What is their profit margin? $42 billion in the state funds, so we're going to go ahead and keep that. Road construction as well, railway construction is actually under federal mandate. Let's $3.4 trillion for the road transportation industry. That is gonna have to be a no on my part. Let's go over here to energy. Let's see what kind of energy situation we can go ahead and get started. 3.1% of our electricity is actually coming from third generation nuclear power plants. And that number is going to be going up as the years go on. So, goal of ours, we are actually dismantling 509 fossil energy plants while also ramping up production significantly with third generation nuclear power. So, geothermal is also going to be another one that we're going to get on here. Let's go ahead and authorize the construction of about 30 new plants. That's going to be a annual production capacity of 7.5 terawatts. That's going to cost us $3.3 billion over the next 5 years. It will cost us $16.5 billion, and we will get it done in about 6 months. And that's going to cost us $7.3 billion along with $36.9 billion over the next 5 years. And that puts us at a total goal of 107. And then solar energy plants, let's go ahead and get a couple of these on the batches. We're going to go ahead and build these just south of Houston, Texas. Let's go ahead and get a couple. We're going to shoot for an annual... actually, we're going to shoot for about 30 of these. These are costing us $1.8 billion and an additional $10 billion each over the next 5 years. So, let's go ahead and continue building these. Deficit should not be changing drastically. See, it's still 0.71. So we're still pulling a very healthy... budget deficit. However, the amount that we're actually going to be borrowing over the next couple of quarters is actually going to go up. And that is okay. That is obviously something that we are able to do. We are still able to deal with that. I mean, our debt reimbursement is still 10.7% of the total budget of the United States. But at the same time, we still have an ability to pay that. We are still running a small enough deficit to where we're not having to worry about these costs. I mean, our state budget deficit, our federal deficit, is actually only about $200 billion or less. So we're still actually doing very well in that part. GDP is $21.5 trillion. We're going to possibly sign on to a couple of trade contracts. So we do have actually 2 new oil rigs that are up for construction in the Gulf of Mexico. These are only 24 days into their construction. So then let's go ahead and add an additional 5,000 troops to the United States military. Let's call for an additional 5,000 into the ranks. Hopefully, yep, we do have a sit-in. We have a sit-in by the Pacifist Union, so let's go ahead and call for a police intervention into that protest. Available position, we have an available position for Secretary of State, supposedly. I do not know why that happened. It's what happens whenever you don't play a certain game for a certain amount of months. Actually, that is the transportation minister that we are actually having. So let's go ahead and go into our party. Let's go to here, Anthony Buster. My boy Anthony right here. I forgot who he's made after. Let's go ahead and put... Who else cannot be corrupted? This guy actually seems like a good guy. Let's go ahead and add him into that. And then let's go ahead and publicly congratulate a minister that increased his approval by a couple of points. But let's go ahead and come over here. So a big thing that we're actually going to do is we are going to start the construction of several major railway projects. Now, these are going to be similar to the ones that are actually under construction in the state of California. Now, this is actually something known as the California High-Speed Rail Initiative, and this is actually a real-life project that is actually connecting San Francisco all the way down to about Anaheim. Anaheim, California is just south of, it's actually not a city. In here, actually Riverside, San Diego, Huntington Beach, Santa Ana, Long Beach are actually cities, but Anaheim is not a city. That actually should be a city. Where's Anaheim should be like right here, like just right where the airport is. But unfortunately, Anaheim, the city of Anaheim, is not a city in Power and Revolution. And it does look like that we are still constructing these things. These trains are actually still going out because the game believes that they are constructed, but they're actually not. But it's good to have, you know, really fun to watch these things travel across California as if they are constructed. But I do think that these are actually supposed to be done within like a year and a half maybe. So maybe by about 2020, mid-2020, 2021, that those are actually going to be completed. So healthcare spending wise, we are going to add, let's go ahead and add about 200,000 payrolls to the medical staff. We're going to increase our medical staff, possibly because in a couple of months we are going to be suffering from something that we have never suffered before. We are going to suffer something that that has never happened in the last 100 years. So maybe I'm a time traveler, maybe I know what's about to happen, but it's not going to happen in the game because the game has terrible simulation of disease. But in 2020, this is actually a 2020 update, we are actually going to be seeing a major feature change for Power and Revolution. Let's go ahead and add about 65,000 people to federal agents. But yeah, in 2020, in the 2020 edition, we are going to be able to have a very thorough simulation of disease in Power and Revolution, the first of its kind, and I'm very excited for the 2020 edition. So please, if you and this is actually another thing, if you guys are actually like asking me, stop asking constantly about the 2020 edition. I know how important 2020 is to y'all, and all the updates to this game are to y'all's, and I am going to get these updates to you guys whenever I have them. Stop asking me whenever 2020 is going to be out. I know there's going to be a couple of people that are going to get into the comment section and say, hey, when's 2020 going to come out? That's because you're not watching this entire video, but that's okay. Do we actually... Damn. Launch risk. What is going on here? Current budget. Let's go ahead. Oh, it's because of its budget. And robotics exoskeleton. We're not going to publish that to the world. Let's go ahead and delay this by about a year. So that's going to be the Father Sky mission. That's going to be our estimated risk of failure is now 0. Can we actually get that to around the beginning of the year? That's not going to be in our launch window. When is going to be our launch window for Jupiter? Okay, let's go for a June 26 launch in 2021. That's going to be a 5% chance of failure if we need to delay it again. Current program budget. Where's our thing for an increase to the budget? Okay, let's do our share at 95%. It's in the funding phase. Let's approve the program. Like, are we... What am I missing right here? We're in the funding phase. We can approve the program by... Oh, son of a hell. I'm actually stupid. I have not played this game in so long that I apparently... Okay, let's partner with the European Space Agency. Okay, I think we're good. No, we are still short about 4% of the budget funding. Electric versus gasoline. Yes, we are going to. Let's go ahead and do a Yom Kippur celebration. And then let's also wait for another partner. Possibly Japan or Russia is going to be a partner that I'm going to want. Taiwan is a partner for that. This is going to just be a satellite that we're sending. Let's do 95% of the funding, and then let's go ahead and approve the program. 94% to 6%. Then let's go over to the Trident mission. This is a space probe with a landing that we are going to do. Let's go with the Russians first. This is going to be a joint Russian-American mission. And if we can actually, if we can actually do a joint Russian-American mission, that'd be actually pretty interesting. This is going to be the Zeus mission. This is going to be the return of samples to Earth. Let's go ahead and just approve the program. That's going to be the Zeus mission to Europa. Beginning of the Zeus program. Argentina possibility. Let's go ahead and sabotage an oil well. China has started a competing program to Neptune, as well as the Russians have actually started a manned orbital flight with a budget of $1.1 billion. Obviously, that is not going to work even if they try to launch in 2027. To lift off for the Zeus program, Father Sky program. Let's go over here. We have already approved the program. I believe, okay, so we are a partner with the Russians, but not the Vietnamese. I am not going to partner with any underdeveloped space agency. That's not my goal. In my space program, we are like launching with partners that we already have, especially ones that we are cooperating with, most likely the Europeans. Most likely, we are just going to be partnering with a lot of European space agencies, the Russians, possibly even the Chinese, but I am not going to be doing anything with the Chinese as of yet. I don't know if these are the Spratly Islands or not. Are these the Spratly Islands? Or are these down here? Ooh! See, Eversim needs to make something where we can like have a fight over the South China Sea. Like I want to battle. Like I want to send warships into the South China Sea where there's a bunch of military bases and then be told by the Chinese to F off. India, possibly a little bit of cooperation. We do actually have a disease outbreak in Burundi. 633 are dead, while 2,364 are actually infected with the disease. This is just a regular plague outbreak. I have actually seen in recent updates that the amount of diseases actually do break out a lot more. What are our current trade contracts with the world? China, we actually don't have any trade contracts. We have all of these. Okay, we have the San Antonio Agreement of oil from Mexico. I don't know why I'm importing oil from Mexico. But we are actually getting it for a pretty good price. Then we have a lot of contracts with ourselves, and we actually do have another contract with the Indians, but not that much else. Let's go over here, and then we're gonna go, let's go to research, and then we are going to increase funding to energy and environment. Then we're going to go over to medicine and genetics and increase funding to that, as well as full funding for military research and ICT and cybersecurity. Let's go ahead and give an additional $10 billion to these, to the agency. Messenger. This is a pacifist protest that is happening. I always have problems with the pacifist union. Those pacifists are always the ones that are really trying to get on your nerves. Let's go ahead and see what's in the news right now. United States government has turned a page from devastating productivity and opened up a new path, said Tom Kubrick, the IGA director, with satisfaction. He is actually the IGA director, which is the International Green Arc, formed in 1979. He likes me a lot, actually. Loyalty vis-a-vis the head of state is 100. Interest in politics is 0, while he does not have any global influence. He is a very moral character, positive outlook, very high, protection level high. He's actually gay. Let's go ahead and assassinate him, by the way. But yeah, he's gay for some reason. Huh, interesting. Let's go over to Parliament. Not really wanting to add any constitutional amendments at this time. Let's go over here, Constitution, nomination of the head of state. Democratically elected by universal suffrage. Yeah, that is not the case in the United States. We obviously have the Electoral College. And if you're actually watching right now, and if you watched all the way through this, please tell me your thoughts on the Electoral College. Should we actually abolish it, or should we continue using it as the forefathers have actually said? Let's go ahead. You have shown great determination in reducing inequality and social injustice. Thanks to you, the most fragile people have found hope and pride in themselves. Thank you. And then sit-in against the government's policy police charge. 353 participants have been dispersed from the streets of Washington, D.C. We have a 5.53 annual growth rate. This is a very good figure, as according to the Secretary of the Economy. And then quarterly figures, we are looking at a 4% unemployment rate. There has been no positive trend to speak of. Overall, the results are very good. Argentina, Sabotage has been successful. Let's go ahead and see what happened in the... I do not actually know the full name of Argentina, but it's probably one of their very, very minimal oil wells that they actually have in the country. Maybe next time we can actually sabotage one of their nuclear plants. 6 submarines have been delivered to the United States military. We have finally gotten we have a lot of activity down at the Panama Canal. It's actually going to be a really, really interesting feature if we actually do see something like this. I'm going to actually watch this ship cross the Panama Canal. But if we actually do see a lot of changes to public transportation, we can actually shut down high-speed rail initiatives, we can shut down shipping, we can shut down a lot of these things. That would actually be a very interesting feature. Where are these ships actually heading? Are they heading to... This one is heading toward South Korea. Looks like the Busan region. This one is heading toward... Again, Busan. He is heading to Busan. And then this one is possibly, let me guess, heading to Busan? Yep, it is heading to Busan. A lot of our shipping that is actually in here is actually heading to Busan. Ulsan, and I'm probably gonna guess. We got Busan, Jeonju, Changwon, Ulsan, Pohang. Is that like, I believe that's Busan is like in this area right here. We got Seoul, Incheon, Ansan, Kaesong, Pyeongchang, Pohang, and then Ulsan. I would have to guess that this city right here is Busan. If you've actually ever seen Train to Busan, you'll know what I'm talking about, but funny enough, I have not seen Train to Busan. It seems like an interesting movie, but I have actually not seen Train to Busan. Oh, we have a terrorist attack in the city of Oakland. Helen Tao's trial, the verdict, and a heavy fine for the Secretary of Transportation. The effects of Tao's popularity have been immediate. The Secretary of Transportation takes things with relative calm philosophy. Considering your connections is a hard blow in terms of your image, but I don't doubt that we will manage to overcome this crisis. So unfortunately, the Secretary of Transportation, we have a hurricane on its way toward the east coast of the United States. But the Secretary of Transportation was actually hit with a very heavy fine. If we can actually go over to justice, let's go over here. Prisoners, we don't have any prisoners right now. I'll find it later. Kalashnikov attack in front of National Museum. 1 dead in the city of Oakland. Unfortunately, that has happened. Let's go ahead and come over to Secret Services. And since we actually do, again, have the money for this, we're going to put more training into agent training as well as the fight against terrorism. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money that we need to put against it. Let's go ahead and increase training. It's going to put our deficit at 1%, but
in a statement sent to the
attack
press,
in Oakland.
and
this is only because I'm not paying attention to my terrorist networks. So I'm going to wait a couple of days. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to launch a full investigation on the terrorist networks, because they do actually have a change of leadership after each terrorist attack. Because usually after a terrorist attack, they always actually end up fleeing the country. Let's go ahead and look at the moon. What kind of missions do we actually have going over there? Artemis Discovery mission, and then we have the Artemis 3 program. And that is actually supported by the ESA, Japan, and as well as Canada. that actually is a 0%. We are on time to land on the moon in 2022. So again, we are going to be doing that before 2024. If we get someone on the moon by 2024, let's go ahead and launch another mission. Walking on the moon. It's going to be Artemis 4. Let's go ahead and fund that with about $50 billion. We are going to fund 80% of that. Oh, I already have a similar program in place, so I can't do it again. That's funny. What other missions can I actually do? Permanent base on the moon. I'm actually going to think about a name for that, but if we can actually get a name, go ahead and put your suggestions for the moon base in the comments below, and we're gonna actually try to see if we can get that by 2030. If you guys actually do want to see me do all of that, it's gonna be pretty fun. Hurricane Gustav is on its way. Dolly seems to be dissipating, but Gustav is on its way toward the east coast. You know what would actually be funny is in the next update, they actually name a hurricane after me, PoliticsGaming. Hurricane PoliticsGaming is coming for you. It's going to come and eat your ass. Thanksgiving celebrations, let's go ahead and go to the year 2020, and then that will be the end of our... Okay, we have a hurricane landfall. Hurricane reaches New Jersey coast. We are on its way. I shouldn't have actually launched a... evacuated. I probably wouldn't. They're just going to let thousands of people die on the refugee boats. Risk zones completely evacuated are progressively moving toward welcoming centers. Pakistan, no, I'm not going to launch that. We have the city of New York right here, increased risk to the Orion space program. Confidential information on the government of Sudan. I have proof that the Sudanese government has bought 2 nuclear missiles from Iceland. Iceland, come on! Come on, Iceland! I had already communicated this information to your secret services, and they have already recorded it in their files. Storm in New Jersey. Why is the Secretary of Energy reporting this to me? Volcano at oh wow, we are having a lot. Okay, Mr. President, our supervision devices detected signs of volcanic activity and low-level gas and ash transmissions were recorded. It is difficult to evaluate the intensity of the eventual eruption. Mr. President, must we give the order to evacuate the neighboring zones? I'm going to go ahead and refuse since there is actually low levels of ash that are actually coming out, but we're going to keep on top of the situation in Washington State. It looks like that Mount St. Helens is re-erupting at this time, but it is probably going to be a low-level eruption event. We are not, possibly, most likely not, see, it's not even showing up as an actual natural disaster as it is in the state of New Jersey. So, in that case, we are not going to be ordering evacuations for that region at this time, but if anything changes, we will order an immediate evacuation. So people in that region just need to make sure that they are ready at any moment. Third generation nuclear power plant and the state of North Carolina is now up and running, as well as Catawba. There is actually a third generation nuclear plant that is actually still under construction. This one takes 730 days to complete in the United States for whatever reason. It's actually like one of the other nuclear reactors just in the state of Georgia, bordering South Carolina. It's actually the Vogtle 1 reactor, and then we have the Vogtle 3 reactor. Alvin, West Virginia, possibly? So is it in a different state? We're in Georgia right now. We are not in the state of West Virginia. But anyway, let's go ahead and go to the year of December. We're going to say no to that. Okay, we are looking at a major eruption in Mount St. Helens. 49 people have died. That is much lower than he anticipated. amount of several hundred dead if there was an actual large-scale eruption in the region. Let's go ahead and send $50 million as an emergency government contribution. Mole contact unprotected. Yikes. So in Myanmar, we're possibly going to be exposed that we have a spy network in the region. Anyway, for this one, I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. I'm going to go ahead and end it. We are now on December 1st, and we are going to celebrate the 2020 year and possibly go over the next election in the episode after the next one. So, if you guys like this episode, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more Power and Revolution United States, please keep tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and try to get these videos out once a week for you guys, and I am also going to be starting a brand new series on Power and Revolution. It's going to be a mod known as the East Africa Federation. This is going to be a combination of countries, a loose confederation between Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, and this the Republic of Kenya. So, if you guys are interested in that, please go ahead and stay tuned for the East Africa Federation. And guys, I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to go ahead and deal with the eruption of Mount St. Helens in the next episode.